So this is a stock TD04 turbo. This is not a stock TD04 turbo. Any questions? This is the stock TD04 turbo out of my car. This is a VF48, a newer STI turbo that I sent off to Adrian from Hill Country Forced Induction, and he completely rebuilt and revamped this thing. Not only do we now have a port and polished inlet, we also have an 11 fin billet wheel, so it's going to be better reaction time, better spool up, more puff out of this little guy, as well as better internal, so it should last a lot longer, as well as just be a lot more efficient versus this. If you guys remember my turbo video, I explained that I had a VF48 with unknown mileage, a little bit of shaft play, and apparently when Adrian tore this apart, the rear seal's starting to leak, which is common, and now I don't have to worry about any of that stuff, as now I have a 0 mileage, completely balanced, rebuilt turbo, and I don't have to worry about anything. As you guys can see, the backside is also black now. It's not just cosmetics, it's actually a Cerakote heat treatment, so then that way the heat retention is much higher than without it. The compressor housing is also powder coated, so when you send off a turbo to Adrian, you get basically a brand new one back, and you can tell them what color powder coat you want, if you want the Cerakote. Everything's an option, so it's very a la carte. As well as on the factory one, we were running with the internal wastegate, and now we're going to be running with an external wastegate. So I got to pop this off, and we'll put the Grimspeed wastegate bracket on, and I'll show you guys that. When you get it back, he also puts all new studs and new hardware, so it should drop right in, no problem. So I just got finished installing the Grimspeed block off bracket. This basically just holds that wastegate shut because we're going to be running a external wastegate, which looks like this. So now we're going to install the external wastegate, and then we can plumb it into the new boost control solenoid that I have, and then we can drop the turbo in and keep moving from there. So as you guys can see, I already put the wastegate on. It was kind of a pain in the ass to fish it in there, so there was just no good viewing angles. But wastegate's on. It is on the wastegate bung that Ryan installed, Tomei up pipe. So I put that on, and then I capped these two off, and then on the other side I have the nipple, and then on the top side is just open to vent to atmosphere. Now I also went ahead and replaced the factory drain tube. There's no reason to go to an aftermarket one right now. If you're a rotated setup or rotated setup, then I understand the need for a stainless steel return line. Just get the rubber hose. It's $11. I chose to go the OEM route because if there's some magical reasoning to stick with OEM over just getting hose, you gotta pull a lot of stuff out to get to it. So for $11, I'll put the link in the description for the part number. So I put a new one on. We're gonna lube up the return nipple, and then we're gonna set the turbo on down. Of course, we're gonna be using the Grimspeed gaskets. They just make a much thicker gasket than the stock ones, and they're less likely to blow out. Plus, it's Grimspeed. Thanks, guys. Can we just appreciate how good this looks in there right now? We got my Hill Country Forced Induction rebuilt turbo from Adrian. I got my Tomei up pipe from Jeff that Ryan from 1320 modified, and a TurboSmart Comp 48 wastegate. What a beautiful little package. We're gonna run our boost reference line from here on the compressor housing up to our boost control solenoid onto nipple number 3. Be careful, as this does have a ground wire on it. This is your factory boost control solenoid, as well as this is an aftermarket. This is an Area 1320 boost control solenoid. So we're gonna rip off this old factory one. Make sure if you do get one, it's an actual boost control solenoid with the correct connector and the right fitting. So we're just gonna basically zip this off, and we're gonna zip tie this in place of this for now, and then down the line we can mount it permanently. However, I just wanna leave it there in case we have to get to any of the ports down the line. So now that the turbo's installed, the up pipe is on, the external wastegate's on, now we can finish installing the 3-port boost control solenoid. So it's gonna go in the factory location, and I'll show you guys how to plumb the lines up. You guys have 3 ports on a 3-port, 2, 3, and 1. 2 is gonna go right to your wastegate, and 3 is gonna go to your boost reference source. So for us, we're gonna use the compressor housing on the turbo. So this is my line coming up from the wastegate, and this is gonna go right into the line number 2. Now we're gonna mount this up and run the line from port number 3 over to our compressor housing. Yeah. Now we can take a piece of vacuum hose, put it on our port number 3, and then we can mount and bolt this all up. And then the line from number 3, you can just drape on over and cut it to length, and you're gonna connect it right to the nipple on the compressor housing. So I want to give obviously a big thank you to Grimspeed for supplying the gaskets, the wastegate bracket, and a couple other components, as well as a big thank you to Ryan for modifying the Tomei up pipe to accept my external wastegate. The external wastegate, it's not for everybody. Some people like the flutter. I hate the flutter. However, through tuning, Ryan can actually narrow the frequency, and it just sounds like a straight up dump, so as if you had a manual boost controller on it. So you have the sound of a boost controller, a manual one, but the benefits of electronic boost control solenoid, so you can fine tune your boost levels and stuff. So thank you guys so much for watching. There's gonna be a whole bunch of videos coming out in the next near future. A couple videos I have to finish up, and then I can post those. But make sure you guys comment, like, subscribe. We'll see you in the next one.